So the most difficult part of this project by far is figuring out all the ridiculous wiring. There's a significant amount of wiring for the different control circuits I want to have and all the little bells and whistles. I thought about trying to run the wire on the inside. I'm going to have some insulation on the sides. I thought maybe under the insulation, over the insulation. Because of all the different routes the wires have to take, I got thinking about it, and it was going to be pretty messy on the inside. I decided that probably best to put most of the wiring on the outside in its own chases. And I thought about making plastic chases, and you know what a pain in the butt all that would be, really. So I came up with a little chase system that we're going to use. There's a couple things we want to consider when we make holes in this case. One is we don't want a lot of BTU loss, and because some of our filaments will be toxic, we don't want any fumes coming out of this case. So the system, the wire system I came up with, takes all that into consideration. So we start simply with a rubber grommet. I bought a kit of these, got a bunch of them for like 10 bucks. You take a razor blade and you put your little slit in the bottom. It creates little flaps that open and close and seal around your wire. So we take that underneath here. We put the hole where we want the wire to come through on the outside of the cabinet. We put our grommet in. From our grommet, we have these pieces. This was printed by one of the few printers that we have the stock cover on, and it only cools one side of the print. So if you see, beautiful, right? Well, look at this. I've popped them off, little zits. All right, anyway, so we basically have our hole. We put our cover over the top. It's got 2 screws. EMT conduit, 1/2 inch. I also have some parts that take 3/4. We simply use this as our conduit, as our chase, and we just have a whole bunch of fittings. We just slide that in there. Also, these have a cover that slides on and off. The other thing about these is you can reverse them. So if you wanted your cover to open like this, but you wanted this to come out this side, you can take it in the slicer and reverse that one axis. I mean, it'll be fine. So basically, here's the first part of our chase. What is the T? And we will have 1/2 inch going over to here, which will have this fitting. This might fall off, don't laugh if it does. It's just a basic termination fitting that's flat that can seal up against any kind of box. Real simple. So that'll pop on there. This will be the case for the CR10. This will butt up to it, bring our wire over. Okay, to give you a rough idea of what we're going to end up with, this could actually end up sliding over back more. This case that way a little bit, because there is a power box right here that is 204 by 204 millimeters. That goes right here, and this will have a this will have our 12 volt power supply, our 5 volt power supply, CR10 relay, Ender 3 relay. This will be a double relay. We need to come down. We'll have another T right here. We need enough room to fit the T in, and we have it, because this can go all the way to this edge probably and still catch the chain for the CR10 on the other side. So this will be here. This is actually a 1/2 inch, so this one is this is 1/2 inch, this one is 3/4. So we have the ability to bring a lot more wires in here that are coming from 2 different directions. It's probably not going to be needed, but the 1/2 inch probably would have got a little bit tight. So we'll have this right here. Then we'll have our other, same thing we started with. We'll have our grommet here for our screen, basically our screen wire, and the power wires that for the fan control. This will be right here. Yeah, so there you go. That'll take care of all the wires. I'm using two 5+ boxes. SKR 1.4 box at the top. It's modified to take away unnecessary holes and take out the notch for that bottom bracket. The bottom will be the same thing. It'll be a 5+ case, but this will be standard Creality setup. And I have one that I was going to use, but I've decided to go ahead and print one with the same concept of taking all the holes out in the top half that I don't need. I have printed a new bottom. The under 3 will not have a raspberry. The top will have the raspberry, and so your raspberry connections will be right here. Oh, what was I going to say? The reason why the power supply, I want to move this gap up right here, is that the power cord comes right into here. So it kind of needs to be in between the cabinet. So then you have a little connection here and a little connection here to bring wires over. We'll just make some with flanges and epoxy it right onto this box right here, so there'll be no screws. Two big prints, power box on the linear Ender 5, and we have the upper half of the SKR 1.4 box on the linear Ender 5 Plus. Those big prints like that where there's a lot of travel, they come out so much better on the linear printers. This will mount approximately here. So this will mount where your extruder mounts, and the pink chain will mount to right here. So you'll have this when it goes up and down. You'll have, yeah, pretty good. And then this is thick enough where the insulation will sink in. And then the wires will go up through here. Now there's some other wires that go to the bottom of the machine, and that's what this back chain is for. And we'll just let it hang down and run the wires in it. And if we want to make a bracket for here, we can. And we bring it into there, or we just let it hang down like that. Here is the bracket for the CR10 that'll mount right about here. Then basically this slides on the arm that sticks out of the CR10. Your spring will fit down through this hole, and it'll still sit on the plate, and your screw will go all the way through. This is the same kind of bracket we made for the Ender 3. It basically is like interferes with nothing. It changes the dimensions nowhere of how the machine's assembled. It's like a very good solution. So we used it here. The problem was we couldn't put the chain on the back on the CR10 because we have just enough room to get that. I mean, literally we have just enough room within an inch. This chain is eSun PLA Plus Blue. It's no good for in this cabinet, but beautiful. And it came out very nice. So that solves the chain problems, and those parts are printed and ready to go. We're just holding on cases, and we still need to mock up the bottom half. And once we mock it all up, we'll take it all apart and take it to paint. All right, everybody. Good luck.